We always think about the ER or maybe the surgical suite as getting all the spotlight in a hospital.
Right, the high drama areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the real lifeblood of any hospital, it really runs right through the front door, through the admitting desk.
Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive into the role of the hospital admitting clerk. It's a job that requires, nerves of steel, some serious administrative wizardry, and just a profound amount of empathy.
It's a hugely underestimated job. And, for anyone thinking about this role or even for managers hiring for it, this deep dive is really your guide. We've gone through and we've pulled out the key attributes that these top-tier healthcare systems are looking for. And we've analyzed the 6 pivotal interview questions they use to test for those exact skills.
Yeah, our mission here is to get way beyond just the bullet points you'd see on a job description. We're looking at a role that demands this really complex mix of administrative efficiency, compassionate communication, and just ironclad compliance knowledge. This isn't just about shuffling papers. It's about managing that first critical interaction a patient has with the entire healthcare system.
Precisely. The goal for the best hospitals anyway is to create a seamless admission process, one that, maximizes efficiency for the hospital but also provides compassionate care for the patient, even when the waiting room is packed and the systems are, totally strained.
So every answer in that interview has to prove you can hold that balance.
Every single one.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. The first question is really designed to set the stage, to verify your basic qualifications. Can you tell us about your previous experience working in a hospital setting?
Right, and this is more than just, listing your old duties. They are screening for the 3 core tasks that you have to be able to do on day 1 with, minimal supervision. So a good answer will describe greeting patients, efficiently verifying their insurance info, which can be really complex, and of course, accurately entering patient data into the system.
Okay, that seems pretty standard for an admin role. Where does a candidate really elevate their answer? How do you stand out?
The real differentiator, the hidden thing they're listening for, is an immediate demonstration of legal literacy. They want to hear that you are, and I'm quoting here, well-versed in HIPAA regulations, and that you're totally comfortable with sensitive patient information.
Wait, so why is that so crucial right out of the gate, that his HIPAA piece?
Because the admitting clerk is literally the gatekeeper of patient trust and the hospital's liability. If you can casually mention something like, I always adhere to the minimum necessary rule, meaning you only access the exact info you need, you're signaling that you get the ethical and legal gravity of the job.
Ah, I see. A mistake there is a huge risk for them.
A massive risk. They need to know you are compliant from minute 1.
That's a really powerful point. Okay, so that's the foundation. Let's pivot to the side of the job that requires maybe the most finesse. Dealing with people when they are under extreme stress.
The human element.
The human element, exactly. The next question is often, how do you handle difficult or upset patients?
And this question is all about testing your emotional intelligence under fire. You have to show that you recognize that when a patient is difficult, it's rarely about you or the paperwork.
It's because they're scared or in pain.
Exactly. It's fear, pain, confusion, maybe even financial anxiety. So the strategy you need to describe has to be rooted in staying calm and showing genuine empathy.
But how do you balance that? How do you show empathy when you've got 5 other people waiting and the clock is ticking? It's not a therapy session, right?
That is the ultimate tension of the role. And your answer has to show you get that. So you start by saying you recognize they may be going through a stressful time, but then you immediately pivot to action. You describe actively listening to get to the core of the problem quickly. Then you work to provide a resolution or at least a clear next step. It's about de-escalation by giving some control or clarity back to someone who feels completely helpless.
So the goal isn't just to calm them down, it's to provide actual customer service by solving their immediate problem, whether it's finding a wheelchair or just explaining a confusing copay.
Exactly. And, often those small frustrations are a symptom of a much bigger system issue, which leads us actually to the next point, crisis management.
What happens when the whole system breaks down?
Yes. This is where they hit you with a scenario-based question, like, can you tell us about a time when you had to problem solve in a fast-paced environment?
Ah, the classic behavioral question. They want proof you can think on your feet, not just theory.
Right. And a great scenario from our source material is the computer system crashing, a total malfunction that stops all electronic registration. Just picture it. The lobby of a busy hospital, maybe the lights are flickering, the system's down, and ambulances are pulling up.
Oh, wow. That's a true disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, admission stops, patient flow stops. If you can't register them, you can't bill them. You could even be delaying treatment.
It's a disaster with immediate, operational and ethical consequences. The winning answer here describes phenomenal adaptability. First, you'd quickly assess the situation and get IT on the phone. But the crucial part is what you did while IT was working on the problem.
You didn't just wait.
No, you can't just wait. You initiate a manual process. You have paper forms ready, and you start manually gathering the essential patient info name, date of birth, their chief complaint, insurance data. You do just enough to keep patients moving into triage to minimize that wait time.
But hold on, what about compliance? How do you handle IPI and data security when you're suddenly scribbling down all this sensitive information on paper? That seems like it would introduce a huge risk for errors.
That is an excellent, critical question, and it's the kind of thing an interviewer is hoping you'll bring up. A top-tier answer has to include that risk mitigation. You'd stress that those manual forms were immediately secured, kept under lock and key until the system was back up, and then that you diligently entered and double-checked everything before destroying the paper records according to protocol.
So you're showing you can act fast but also stay compliant at the same time.
Yes, you turn chaos into controlled movement. That kind of answer puts you in a different league.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So we've covered the patient-facing crisis. Let's shift now to the essential technical knowledge, starting with the lifeblood of the hospital.
The money.
The finances. Let's look at the question. What is your understanding of health insurance and billing processes?
So this is a knowledge check, but it has massive downstream consequences. You need to show that you understand how your actions impact the hospital's financial health, what's called the revenue cycle.
Can you break that down for us? What's the revenue cycle's connection to the admitting clerk?
Think of the clerk as the person who opens the tap for the entire financial pipeline. If you collect the wrong insurance data, or you miss a required authorization, or you type in the patient's birthday wrong, that mistake doesn't just sit there.
It propagates.
It propagates, exactly. Downstream, that one little mistake leads to claim denials, a ton of administrative rework, and delayed payments. It can cost the hospital thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow. So showing the difference between a PPO and an HMO is one thing, but they also need to know you get the mechanics of collecting that information correctly up front.
Absolutely. You need to be able to verify coverage before the patient is admitted, if possible. And you need to demonstrate that you have experience with electronic billing systems, that you know how to start that claim accurately from the very beginning. You are the financial first responder.
Financial first responder. I like that. Okay, so if billing is the financial toolkit, let's talk about the single most critical legal requirement.
Yeah.
Patient privacy. It's totally non-negotiable.
It is.
So the question is, how do you handle and process sensitive patient information?
This is a test of your professional diligence. The answer here has to go way beyond just saying, oh, I follow IPA. The interviewer is looking for specific habitual behaviors that prove security is just part of your daily workflow.
So what are some of those specific behaviors a candidate should mention?
You need to detail your commitment. Talk about concrete things, locking your computer screen every single time you step away, using the designated shredders for any paper with protected health information or PHI, even just being mindful of who can overhear your conversations at the front desk.
So it's about constantly auditing your own actions. The responsibility for that data is literally in your hands.
It is. The candidate has to stress that they are diligent in following all necessary procedures. This shows you understand the severe risk a simple mistake like leaving a chart open on the counter poses to the entire organization. This ethical commitment is the ultimate test of trustworthiness.
Okay. We've hit compliance, crisis management, customer service, financial literacy. But none of that matters if the clerk can't handle the sheer volume of work.
The cognitive load, yeah.
Which brings us to the administrative foundation, our last piece. How do you stay organized and manage multiple tasks at once?
This question is all about your ability to handle that cognitive load under pressure. The hospital setting is not a place for single tasking. You might be on the phone with an insurance company, checking in a walk-in, and flagging a potential emergency admission all at the same time.
So just saying I use a to-do list is probably not going to cut it.
No, not at all. They want to see the system you use for high-stakes prioritization.
The system, right?
Yeah. The focus has to be on effective, risk-based prioritization. You have to be able to explain how you decide what comes first. Is it the administrative task with a deadline, or is it the patient who just walked in clutching their chest? The answer has to be patient safety first, always.
And are there specific tools they're hoping to hear about?
Well, calendars and software are fine for routine stuff, but they want to know about your moment-to-moment flow management. You should describe a system that lets you multitask effectively, to switch between tasks as needed without dropping the ball on what you were just doing. It's about mental compartmentalization, using quick notes for follow-ups, and making sure no task gets completely forgotten just because a crisis popped up.
So when we pull this all together, what are we looking at? We've mapped out technical mastery billing and HIPAA and extreme organization based on risk. And then these critical interpersonal skills like empathy, de-escalation, crisis problem solving.
The big overarching attribute they're looking for is resilience married to meticulous detail. And if you think about it, these core skills are the building blocks, not just for the admitting clerk job, but for pretty much the entire administrative track in healthcare.
You mentioned there were some related jobs in our prep for this.
Absolutely. Our source material points out how this same interview framework applies to roles like admissions advisor, admissions associate, admissions representative, even higher level roles. The ability to manage sensitive data, navigate complex rules, and communicate clearly under pressure. That's the core currency of modern healthcare administration.
So it sounds like acing this interview isn't really about reciting textbook definitions. It's about proving, with clear examples from your past, that you can create a welcoming and efficient atmosphere, even when there's chaos all around you.
That's the ultimate takeaway. The job is a blend of process and heart. So the final challenge for you, as someone going for this job, is to think about your own unique experiences. It doesn't matter if you're a healthcare veteran or new to the field. Think about the most high-stakes, stressful situation you've ever managed. How did you secure the environment? How did you manage the data? And how did you put people ahead of the process? That's the story that's going to make you indispensable.
A perfect blend of technical expertise and human connection. Thank you for this deep dive. This was incredibly helpful.